Welcome one and all to the ancient journey. On today's journey, Sheila LaBarre. But before we get started, don't forget, if you enjoy the video, please give us a like and a share. And if you're into our content, please check out the rest of the channel and subscribe. It helps grow the channel, and it keeps us producing these videos. As early as 1690, newspapers ran romantic personal ads in the United States. Yes, it's true, even back in the late 1600s, men couldn't figure out a great way to meet women in person, and resorted to the ink and print ads that eventually gave rise to many of the popular online versions of personals that exist today. It wasn't just men, though. In 1727, a woman named Helen Morrison posted one of the earliest personal ads where she professed her desire for a nice gentleman, and she was promptly committed to an asylum for a month for her troubles. Society at the time wasn't ready for women to be so free-spirited. But like all things, times change, and society's view of women posting personal ads have changed as well. In today's world, there are any number of paid or free online ad services where men or women can go on and meet anyone they want in a matter of seconds. But sometimes these ads aren't always on the up and up, and the person placing or answering the ad isn't just looking for love or a good time. They're placing these ads as bait to lure in their prey. Sheila K. Bailey is born in Alabama on July 4th, 1958, earning her the nickname Firecracker. It's not long after high school she marries a man named Ronnie Jennings, but soon things go sour in their marriage, and Sheila is looking for divorce. For quite a while, Ronnie will not grant her divorce, and she ends up in a psychiatric facility in the early 1980s after an attempted suicide. During her stay at the facility, Sheila is sexually assaulted by an orderly. Sheila gets her divorce and then marries John Baxter in January of 1981. But Sheila still has a wandering eye despite her second trip down the aisle, and in 1987 she answers a personal ad from an elderly man in Epping, New Hampshire. Wilfred LaBarre is born in 1926 and is a retired chiropractor. He lives a good life practicing his craft and donating to colleges, joining his local Lions Club, and marrying a woman named Edwina Colex around 1977. Edwina passes away in 1983, and the loneliness apparently gets to Wilfred, so he pens a personal ad looking for companionship. Sheila responds to the ad, and Wilfred is caught in her trap. Sheila never marries LaBarre, but takes his last name and lives on his farm with him until 2000 when he passes away. Even though Sheila appears to be his companion in life and in romance, Sheila has other conquests in mind. She marries Jamaican citizen Wayne Ennis in 1995, promptly divorcing him in 1997 after Ennis allegedly assaults her. After Wilfred LaBarre's death, Sheila inherits his farm to the shock of LaBarre's family. LaBarre claimed to be Wilfred's common-law wife, and despite Wilfred's children's attempts to contest the will, Sheila wins in the end when the costs involved in fighting in court proved too much for the LaBarre family. Sheila wouldn't waste much time being alone. Soon after Wilfred's death, Sheila gets a boyfriend named Michael DeLogue. Michael's stepfather, Gordon Boston, claims that Michael begins to have drug problems and became obsessed with sadistic behavior and ended up in and out of homeless shelters. In 2004, Michael met Sheila LaBarre. Michael's stepfather recalls Sheila could be fun to be around, but she had quite a mean streak, and she would often get into fights with DeLogue. Michael, then 37, went missing in 2004, but was last seen alive in 2005. Never one to waste much time, Sheila met Kenny County through a personal ad chat line in 2006 when he was just 24 years old. County was a U.S. Army veteran, but according to his mother, Kenny had a low IQ and a childlike trust. Kenny spoke with Sheila a few times on the phone, and Sheila drove to his home in Massachusetts to drag Kenny into her web. LaBarre was notorious for hiring young men to work on her farm and loved easily manipulated men like Kenny. On March 17th, a strange sight unfolds at the Epping, New Hampshire Walmart. A woman is pushing a battered and weakened man around in a wheelchair. Sheila is pushing Kenny around, piling empty diesel containers on top of him in the cart, and arguing with employees in the store who are concerned about Kenny's well-being. LaBarre is eventually kicked out when management calls the police, but Kenny never asks the police for help when they arrive. 1 month prior to this event, County's family had called the Epping police to do a welfare check on him. When the officers met him in February for this welfare check, Kenny appears unharmed. In March, he appears visibly, physically injured at the Walmart. 1 week after that, Sheila LaBarre calls the police at 1 o'clock in the morning. She plays police a recording. In it, County can be heard in pain and vomiting in the background. In it, Sheila is accusing him of being a pedophile, and the clearly suffering County is agreeing with her, crying hysterically, passing out, waking, only to be asking, why? Police enter LaBarre's property later that day. They're there to perform a wellness check on County. They pass a burn pile on the way towards the house and stop to investigate. They see what appears to be a knife handle, tree limb clippers, and piles of what appears to be bone in the fire pit. No one answers when they knock at Sheila's door, and police eventually kick in the door of the residence. That's when Sheila makes an appearance from behind them. Police ask Sheila about the burn pile and the bones. Sheila responds that the bones are either from a rabbit or from a pedophile. She seems happy to give them a tour of her property. Police find a pair of County sneakers, but Sheila refuses to let them take the shoes. She also refuses to allow them to take any of the bones that they find. The police later return with a search warrant, and Sheila's house of horrors is slowly exposed. Police conduct a nearly 3-week search of the LaBarre farm. They locate the empty diesel containers from the Walmart near the burn pit. They locate a piece of bone that police state weighs 6 to 8 pounds. They find hundreds of rabbits running wild inside her home, and what appears to be blood spatter inside numerous rooms. In addition to the search of the farm, police flush out the septic system on the property, and in its contents they find a birth certificate with the name Michael DeLogue on it. Sheila goes on the run briefly but is captured shortly after. Traces of DNA from inside the farmhouse are recovered. The results are a match to Michael DeLogue. DNA results from the bones in the fire pit are not far behind. They belong to Kenny County. Sheila does her best to fight in court, claiming she's insane, but jurors don't buy it. She's convicted and sent to prison for life, without the possibility of parole, for the murders of Kenny County and Michael DeLogue. But months after she's been sentenced, police find a set of human toes on the LaBarre farm, and they don't belong to either County or DeLogue. The police who investigated recalled finding hundreds of audio tapes Sheila had recorded in her home. The tapes are of her talking to various men on personal chat lines, and the police wonder who else might have answered a personal ad for the very last time. Thanks for watching, and thanks for sharing the journey.